and it's having a devastating effect on southern Ohio. The Senate faces a pivotal vote today concerning the use of witnesses in President Trump's impeachment trial. And in sports, women's basketball takes on the #1 team in the MAC this Saturday. See how they match up against the MAC's best. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. I'm Connor Kierick. Thanks for joining us. The coronavirus is what's on everyone's mind this evening, but flu season has firmly lodged itself in Athens County and bringing with it a flurry of absences at schools, prompting Alexander Local School District to cancel classes today. The district closed schools in order to disinfect classrooms and offices. On Thursday alone, there were 220 absences in the morning, but that figure does not include the number of students who went home sick throughout the day. Alexander Local Schools should resume classes on Monday, while all evening activities tonight are scheduled to continue as planned. Schools across the county are seeing absences due to the flu, as well as many workplaces. Adena Local Schools, Chillicothe City Schools, and Logan Hocking Schools were among 17 districts closed today. The full list of all 17 districts canceled today, as well as additional information, can be found at woub.org. The flu season is not just affecting southeastern Ohio. West Virginia has fallen victim as well. More than a fifth of students at a West Virginia high school have missed classes due to illnesses such as the flu and strep throat. George Washington High School in Charleston reported 242 absences on Friday alone. Kanawha County Schools spokeswoman Brianna Warner said that it's not just George Washington High School being affected. Other parts of the county have also been experiencing above average absence rates. With one of the worst cases of flu season in recent memory, people's fears are only being heightened by the outbreak of the coronavirus. CNN has obtained exclusive photos of a rare glimpse into a Wuhan coronavirus isolation ward in Macau, where there are 7 confirmed cases. The Wuhan coronavirus causes deadly pneumonia-like symptoms and can spread easily with nearly 10,000 confirmed cases and over 200 deaths. This has resulted in many American-based airlines to halt flights to China. Some Ohio University faculty are still expressing concern over the university's financial situation. The OU chapter of the American Association of University Professors held an open forum this afternoon. WOUB's Anna Azalian was there.
Yeah, this is the first faculty event since that Board of Trustees meeting a few weeks ago, and I spoke with 2 organizers from AAUP, the organization holding this event tonight, and they say the purpose of the event is to hear from faculty, to hear their thoughts, their concerns, their opinions, and use that to inform further actions. Now, you may remember this is the same group that had the silent protest at the Board of Trustees meeting a few weeks ago. They had signs, some of them even had duct tape over their mouths to emphasize the silent part of that protest. And they say the purpose of that protest was just to show the administration they're paying attention to what's happening and they want to share their thoughts and opinions. Now, the next faculty event is on Monday. It's a faculty senate meeting at 7 p.m. For now, for WOUB, I'm Anna Azalian.
Thanks, Anna. And now let's take a first look at your local weather with Nicholas.
Thanks, Connor. Well, it was another gloomy and chilly day out there today. We had a little bit of rain as we went throughout the day as well, and it's still raining right now. 37 is the temperature. Pressure's at 30.14 inches and falling as an area of low pressure is moving through the area. Humidity is high, 96%, as those rain showers are continuing to come down, and the winds are out of the south-southwest at 1 mile an hour. Across the area, temperatures are generally in the upper 30s and lower 40s. 36 in Columbus, same thing in Newark. 34, the cool spot in New Lexington. 37 in Athens, 39 in Ironton, 41 is the warm spot in Ripley. Again, rain showers on and off pretty much throughout the entire area. Some areas are seeing just clouds, some areas are seeing just rain. Highlights over the next couple of days. A pattern change is in store. We have a rainy weekend, but a warm up is coming later on this week. I'll tell you how warm it could possibly get. Plus, are we in store for any more snow this next couple of weeks? I've got all the details on that coming up on my full forecast in the next couple of minutes. Connor?
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Legislation has been introduced to the Ohio House that would place individuals convicted of trying to buy sex or trafficking women for sex on a publicly accessible database for 5 years. The legislation is being backed by Attorney General Dave Yost. Supporters of the bill say it is aimed at the demand side of prostitution. Representative and co-sponsor Rick Carfagna of Genoa Township stated that the bill could provide the deterrent needed to stop people from soliciting sex. If the bill were to pass, individuals would automatically drop off the database if 5 years pass without another conviction. And if a conviction was overturned before that, they could petition the Attorney General's office to have their name removed. The Kentucky House has voted to add sexual harassment to the list of violations to the Legislative Code of Ethics. The bill passed in the House by an unanimous vote and now goes to the Senate. The bill defines sexual harassment as ethical misconduct, outlines reporting standards, and strengthens confidential investigations of sexual harassment cases. The bill's lead sponsor, Representative Kimberly Poore Moser, says the legislation reflects bipartisan work that has spanned the last 3 legislative sessions. A security employee of a Cincinnati school district has been charged with sexually abusing male students. 54-year-old Lamont Baldwin has been indicted by a grand jury on 12 counts of gross sexual imposition. Baldwin has served as a security monitor for the district from 1996 up until his firing last November. Authorities say he also served as the middle school wrestling coach for a short time. Baldwin turned himself in Thursday night. Another school official, this time out of West Virginia, has been accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a 14-year-old student. Former Brooke County band director, 43-year-old Tim Turner, interrupted his trial to plead guilty to malicious assault. Turner pleaded guilty as part of a plea bargain that would see him behind bars for 2 years and revoke his teaching certificate instead of serving a sentence of 20 years. Turner was initially charged with third-degree sexual abuse after he brought a student to his house in 2015 and attempted to have sex with her. And an Ohio teen was fatally shot after another teen pointed a gun laser in his eyes to distract him while playing a video game, and the gun went off. The Athens Messenger reports that a 15-year-old has been charged with a juvenile count of reckless homicide by a juvenile court in Licking County. The 15-year-old victim was found dead early Sunday. According to authorities, a complaint was filed to the juvenile court early Monday that stated the 2 boys involved routinely messed around with guns, oftentimes pulling the trigger. Police say an investigation is ongoing, but they aren't ready to say whether or not it was an accident. Coming up next, the debate on witnesses in President Trump's impeachment trial. We'll have the latest. And how does Britain's decision to leave the European Union affect us here in the States? These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
These icebergs are amazing.
Journey to the icy ends of the Earth,
It just looks like Mars.
where the secrets of the past
We're on a beach.
We're on a beach 3 million years ago.
hold the clues to our future.
This place is so amazing.
This is the stuff that gives us a glimpse into a past warmer world.
Humans are geology. We are impacting this planet.
Polar Extremes on Nova.
The heat wave in Chicago, one of the deadliest heat waves in U.S. history.
It looked like a war zone.
This was a tragedy that should have seared itself into the mind and memory of every American, but it didn't.
Racism and poverty determined who would live and die during the heat wave.
Not really about the heat. It's about a lack of compassion on a lot of parts.
The real story is, why were people in these neighborhoods dying?
Cooked. Survival by zip code.
That's the one I contributed. I see it. I see you.
Philadelphia is the second largest Italian community outside of New York.
It smells so good in here.
Right?
On a Sunday in this neighborhood, you could smell every home.
It's like symphony orchestra playing like Metallica. When the nonna says mangiare, you better eat.
No passport required.
The president's reckless activities necessitated us to introduce articles of impeachment.
They
been trying to impeach me from day one.
The state of our union.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences.
PBS NewsHour coverage.
The economy is booming and America is stronger than ever before.
The 2020 State of the Union Address, Tuesday, February 4th, 9/8 Central.
Welcome back. U.S. Senator Rob Portman says he will vote to acquit President Donald Trump. The Columbus Dispatch reports Portman said in a statement today he is against additional witnesses and documents entering the Senate impeachment proceedings, citing the delays this would cause in the trial. Portman was the co-founder and co-chair of the Senate Ukraine Caucus, which investigated the Trump administration's reasoning for withholding aid from Ukraine. The next phase of the impeachment trial of President Trump is underway on Capitol Hill. Senators will listen to and debate about whether or not to call witnesses, like former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Karen Kafa is live from Capitol Hill with a breakdown of what is happening today and what is expected going forward.
The Senate will convene as a court of impeachment.
Dominating the 10th day in the Senate impeachment trial of President Trump, a debate over whether or not to call for witnesses, with House managers making their last pitch.
Let's put John Bolton under oath. Let's find out who's telling the truth.
And the president's defense team opposing. Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine and Mitt Romney of Utah have indicated for several days that they would vote to call witnesses.
I've said for some time that I hope to be able to hear from John Bolton.
But the majority of Senate Republicans continue to oppose calling any witnesses and are prepared to acquit President Trump.
It is not our job to expand the House's investigation.
Let's get on with the work of the people and put this behind us.
Senate Democrats concede they don't have the votes to push for witnesses, but say they will continue to try and find out what John Bolton knows.
No matter what the results of today's vote, I believe the truth will eventually come out. My Republican colleagues should think about that before they vote today. The truth will eventually come out.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Karen Kafa.
The final verdict in President Trump's impeachment trial could be pushed back to as late as Wednesday, so as to make room for the Iowa caucuses and the State of the Union address. Even with the impeachment trial occurring, President Trump has signed an executive order to combat human trafficking and online child exploitation. The order creates a new position within the White House Domestic Policy Council that will be solely devoted to fighting human trafficking. It also calls for the State Department to create a government website for resources, as well as calling on federal agencies to work on recovery and prevention programs. The effort was spearheaded by the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump. Law enforcement officials have identified the driver of the SUV that breached a security checkpoint at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw identified Friday's intruder as 30-year-old Hannah Romhild. When officers approached the vehicle, she did not respond when they knocked on her window. The passenger's identity is still unknown. President Trump and Melania were scheduled to travel to Mar-a-Lago this afternoon, but it is unknown if the trip will continue. It has been 3 years in the making, and now Britain becomes the first ever country to leave the European Union. So what does Brexit mean for the United States? Daryl Forges has all the details.
The UK is claiming independence from the European Union. While some are happy about the new era,
we love Europe, we just hate the European Union. It's as simple as that.
Others, not so much.
It's sad that it's come to this, but I think it's important that EU citizens in this country, as well as our government, know that there are people out here still fighting it.
The UK will still follow the EU's rules for 11 months. With the UK bidding adieu to the EU, what's next? How will this change the relationship with the United States? It could very well depend on a new trade deal.
Most trade agreements take between 3 and 5 years to negotiate. Moving to 11 months is a very condensed schedule. Most trade experts don't believe that it will be possible.
President Trump has been optimistic something will get done with the United Kingdom, but some are skeptical.
I think that the next phase, if you thought that was dramatic, I think it might be even more dramatic and more traumatic, because there is a lot of hard negotiation to be done.
How about travel? Since the Brexit vote, the value of the pound decreased significantly against both the euro and the US dollar. Tourism experts say it's unlikely to affect U.S. travelers going to the UK. In fact, it could boost travel since the price will be cheaper for most travelers. I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
Both the European Union and Great Britain still need to decide what their future relationship will look like. This will be worked out in an 11-month transition period in which Britain will continue to follow all of the EU's rules. Britain's trading relationship will also remain the same. When we come back, a random act of kindness in New York is warming the hearts of residents. That story is still ahead.
And weather-wise, this past week has been very chilly, but a major warm-up is in store to begin next week. How long will that last? I'll talk all about that coming up in my full forecast, but first a look at stocks of local interest.
The president's reckless activities necessitated us to introduce articles of impeachment.
They've been trying to impeach me from day one.
The state of our union.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences.
PBS NewsHour coverage.
The economy is booming and America is stronger than ever before.
The 2020 State of the Union address, Tuesday, February 4th, 9/8 Central.
These icebergs are amazing.
Journey to the icy ends of the Earth,
It just looks like Mars.
where the secrets of the past
We're on a beach.
We're on a beach 3 million years ago.
hold the clues to our future.
This place is so amazing.
This is the stuff that gives us a glimpse into a past warmer world.
Humans are geology. We are impacting this planet.
Polar extremes on Nova.
The heat wave in Chicago, one of the deadliest heat waves in U.S. history.
It looked like a war zone.
This was a tragedy that should have seared itself into the mind and memory of every American, but it didn't.
Racism and poverty determined who would live and die during the heat wave.
Not really about the heat. It's about a lack of compassion on a lot of parts.
The real story is, why were people in these neighborhoods dying?
Cooked. Survival by zip code.
That's the one I contributed. I see it. I see you.
Philadelphia is the second largest Italian community outside of New York.
It smells so good in here.
Right? On a Sunday in this neighborhood, you could smell every home.
It's like symphony orchestra playing like Metallica. When a nonna says mangiare, you better eat.
No passport required.
Welcome back. I'm forecaster Nicholas Snyder. Well, we saw the clouds again today. That's all due to a system that came through, and it's been pretty similar, the pattern has, for the past couple of weeks, but the jet stream has become more amplified or wavy in layman's terms. We have a shortwave trough or dip in the jet stream over the central portion of the United States, a little bit of a shortwave ridge or really nudging up of the jet stream over the eastern United States. That's what's kept us kind of mild over the past couple of days. Not really too warm, not really too cold. There's our weather maker right there. That's part of a left exit region of a jet streak overhead due to that ridge as well, and that trough off to the west. That is what caused the rain that we saw today, and maybe even a little bit of snow up in the northern portions of the viewing area. Nobody really saw accumulation as we went throughout the day, though. But the rain will continue over the next few days. It will be a rainy start to the weekend. Systems will come up through the viewing area tonight and into tomorrow, and you could see on one of our high-resolution models there's some rain at 5 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to see on and off rain as we go throughout tonight and as we go throughout your day tomorrow. 33 will be the low. Evening rain. If you don't get under a shower, it will be cloudy otherwise. Winds will be out of the north at 0 to 5 miles an hour. Across the area, temperatures generally in the lower and middle 30s, 31 in Columbus, 29 in Newark, 32 in New Lexington, 33 in Athens, 36 down at Ripley. We could see a little bit of snow mixing in with that rain as we go throughout the night as well. Our system moves off the coast tomorrow, setting up for a relatively calm pattern as we go throughout your Sunday, but a warm front off to our west is going to move on in, and that's really going to warm us up. I'll talk about that in a second, but first, tomorrow 42, early afternoon rain tomorrow, cloudy earlier on in the evening. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour across the area. Temperatures generally in the upper 30s and lower 40s. 40 in Columbus, 39 in Chillicothe, 44 the warm spot down in Ironton. Again, on and off rain as we go throughout the day tomorrow. There's that warm front lifting east throughout the area, and that cold front's going to stall out for a couple of days and really warm us up. Here comes the warm-up. A major warm-up is in store for next week, and a stormy jet stream pattern will move on into the region and keep region temperatures warm and keep the rain coming in as well. Here's a map of that. Our storm track moves up. As we saw on Monday, that storm track was off to our south, which kept us relatively boring this week. Next week, that storm track moves up overhead. Cold air will lift off to the north, and we are going to be much, much warmer next week than we saw this past week. Here's our 7-day temperature averages. 22 degrees above average on Monday, and we remain above average all week next week until Friday before we finally get back below average. 10-day air masses, again, we keep you cool right now, but there's that cold air retreating on Monday. Thursday, the cold front comes through and we cool you off again for Friday and into next Saturday. Not really terribly cold pattern though, and here's the extended forecast. 64 will be the high on Monday. Rain moves in on Tuesday and Wednesday with highs in the 60s as well, and then we take you back down into the 50s and 40s for Thursday and Friday. So Connor, it looks like we're in store for a taste of a little bit of spring going into next week, but unfortunately it will be rainy during most of those warm temperature times.
Well, the warmth sure does sound good, but let's take a look at how some folks in Rochester are helping each other fight the cold. Thanks, Nick.
In downtown Rochester,
it's good.
Winter is also bringing warmth.
There's a lot of people over there that need this stuff.
Hanging from trees, which are usually bare this time of year, handmade items.
It's a nice gesture. It's a very nice gesture.
There for those who need them.
There's actually people who have a heart in this city. And if everyone comes together to do the same thing, we can make things better. You start small and then big things can happen.
Rochester winters can be brutal, especially for those with no place to go.
This situation is a very harsh situation. It is cold. People don't got food. People don't got gloves, no got hats, no got this.
But this seemingly random act of kindness surely helps.
Just doing God's work. That's all it is. That's all it's about.
No one is quite sure who knitted these hats, scarves, and gloves.
I think when somebody does something, no notoriety, just to help other people, that's sort of special, especially in the world today.
What is known, they're needed.
Just do it. Be a ghost. And then next thing you know, karma comes back and it hits you 10 times better.
On a cold day, warm heads and warm hands equals warm hearts.
It makes me happy seeing this in the city, It makes you feel good.
I'm Paul Roth, and Super Bowl weekend has finally arrived. Plus, the Ohio men's basketball team is looking to bounce back tomorrow after another close loss. That and more when Newswatch returns. Plus, stick with us.
What's up, Hardwood fans? I'm your host, Sam Leesmith, here with my co-host, T. Willis. And T, I hear you're quite the artist, so why don't you paint us a picture of what games we have next week?
We have a ton of games coming up next week, but the one I'm looking forward to the most has to be Benton County Lady Vikings versus the Nelsonville York Lady Buckeyes. They're playing for the top spot in the TVC Ohio.
We'll definitely have coverage of that game and so much more TVC action on WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. As always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
On expedition.
I'm in Mexico with a crack team of cave divers on an expedition where no one has been before. Check that out! What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong.
Zero visibility, and it's really tight! No way. It's like a river flowing underneath the water! My brain is popping. There's so much more than we expected. This is what adventure is all about!
The president's reckless activities necessitated us to introduce articles of impeachment.
They've been trying to impeach me from day one.
The state of our union.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences.
PBS NewsHour coverage.
The economy is booming and America is stronger than ever before.
The 2020 State of the Union address, Tuesday, February 4th, 9/8 Central.
These icebergs are amazing.
Journey to the icy ends of the Earth.
It just looks like Mars.
Where the secrets of the past.
We're on a beach.
We're on a beach 3 million years ago.
Hold the clues to our future.
This place is so amazing.
This is the stuff that gives us a glimpse into a past warmer world.
Humans are geology. We are impacting this planet.
Polar extremes on Nova.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Roth. The Ohio women's basketball team will be looking for a little revenge this weekend. They'll be up north taking on the Central Michigan Chippewas in a battle of top teams in the MAC. Now, last time these two met back in early January, Gabrielle Bird of Central Michigan hit a three with just 7 seconds left to give her team a 2-point win over the Bobcats. Now, Ohio will be looking to hand the Chippewas their first loss in MAC play this season and cut the gap between them for the top spot in the conference. But to get it done, they'll have to play a complete game.
I'm just staying locked in the whole entire game. When we played them here, we had a pretty good 3 quarters, and then we just slipped up. It's always that one time. So just doing the little things, everything matters. So if we take care of the little things, we'll be fine.
If we don't catch them, then this season's not a failure. We didn't accomplish that. You know, we still have a chance to get a bye. We still have a chance to play again in Cleveland. You know, there's still other things.
Now, like Coach said, there is other things. A win would put the Bobbies just 1 game behind Central Michigan for the top seed. Tip is at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Now, the Ohio men's basketball team has had a much more up and down season. Now, that's not to say they haven't been competitive. They've just had a lot of heartbreakers. Now, their last game on Tuesday was just a 2-point loss to Northern Illinois. That was their second loss by less than 3 points in the past week and third in the month of January. Now, MAC play has not been kind to the Bobcats, just 2-6 so far in the conference, but head coach Jeff Bowles knows it's executing the little things that could help give them the edge in close games.
It was a one-possession game, and I could have made one decision that could have impacted the game. You know, every single person who played could have done one thing different that would have changed the complexion of the game. And we've talked about that from day one, like every possession matters, you know, and, you know, until we get to that point where it's got to matter if, you know, you sprint back on defense or take care of the ball or knock down an open three, and you have to do it, you know, and that's where we got to get to that point because we've been in almost every game we've lost.
Now, the Ohio wrestling team has been pinning opponents left and right and are back in action tonight. Winners of 3 straight meets, the team returns home for the first action inside the Convocation Center in nearly 4 weeks. That puts them at an even 5-5 on the year. The only problem, just one of those wins has come here in Athens, where they will be to finish out their final 6 matches of the season. They'll have a chance to change that trend and start the home stretch off right tonight as they face Central Michigan at 7. And get the wings ready and the chips on deck because the weekend of the big game is finally here. Super Bowl Sunday is just a few short days away. It will be the 54th edition of the game. Now, the San Francisco 49ers of the NFC will be facing the Kansas City Chiefs of the AFC. And last year's Super Bowl was a bit of a dud, but this year there's a lot more hype surrounding the game. The 49ers are looking for their first Super Bowl victory since '94, and the Chiefs are back for the first time since winning Super Bowl 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kickoff is 6:30 on Sunday. That's all I got for you, Connor. Back to you at the desk.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Connor Kierick, and stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour after this program. Thank you.
Journey to the icy ends of the Earth.
It just looks like Mars.
Where the secrets of the past
We're on a beach.
We're on a beach 3 million years ago.
hold the clues to our future.
This place is so amazing.
Polar Extremes on Nova.
Support comes from GOLDSBERRY Wealth Strategies in Athens and Parkersburg, focusing on helping people achieve a life they